You're listening to a Whales Are Whales production.
You're also listening to Whales.
Visit whalesorwhales.com for more projects and shows like this one.
Hello, we have saved you a seat. Welcome to Train Station at 8, a video game music podcast, wherein we take a single song and say mildly interesting things about it for about an hour. I am your host, Bryan, and joining me today is my co-host and cohort, Stephan. Hello, Stephan.
Howdy.
Are you enjoying my new brutal honesty form of introducing the show?
Oh yeah, it's direct and to the point.
Thank you.
Maybe a little intense, but we can work on that.
So this week's episode is going to be about Title from Animal Crossing. So it's the song that plays at the title screen, otherwise known as the main theme song of Animal Crossing.
Yes, otherwise known as the song that everyone remembers with good, fond, warm memories in their childhood pasts.
Well, not everyone, but quite a few people.
But
yes.
me.
Yeah, you.
And since we're the only two people on the show this time, I think that's all that matters.
Fair enough. I was going to say something else very important. Oh yes, this is going to be much like our song, a simpler, and briefer show than usual because I'm on a time limit. And we don't have any guests, so I don't have to be polite.
And we have somewhat of a special occasion.
Right. What is it?
Do you genuinely not know?
I think I remembered.
Well, it's kind of a twofer. In a way, this is kind of our first anniversary episode because this very week we have officially been Train Station at 8ing for about a year.
Wow.
Yeah, wow for sure. And there's going to be a little post I'm going to put up about that as well, including a bunch of shout-outs and recommendations to other video game music podcasts, which maybe we'll have time to talk about today.
Lovely. Yes, I hope so as well.
Also, we realized that going bi-weekly was a terrible, terrible mistake.
It was also my idea.
It was also his idea. And we decided to go back to a weekly format because it just felt slow and disconnecting to have to, wait 14 days for an episode to come out.
Yeah, you don't quite realize how big the difference is between weekly and bi-weekly in terms of like show commitment. It's kind of crazy.
And if you've been tuning into other Whales or Whales products, you might have noticed that our narrative podcast, Third Person, I almost forgot the name there, Third Person has been a bi-weekly or a weekly show, and now we're changing that to bi-weekly.
Yeah,
so we're kind of...
I mean, that's mostly just because we don't want to talk to Abigail that much. So, but yeah.
It is true. Too much Abigail contact can make one loony.
Yeah. I mean, look at Abigail. It's pretty obvious.
24/7 Abigail contact is dangerous for your health.
Exactly. So we're coming back to being a weekly show, and on that note, let's jump into the show of the week.
Okie dokie.
Stephan.
Wait, alright, hi.
Hi.
What have I been listening to? Is that what you were gonna ask me?
Yeah, look at you, all knowing things.
Alright, well, I want to get this one out of the way, post-haste, not because it's boring or not worth talking about, because it's quite the opposite. Do you remember me talking about Harmony of Heroes before?
Oh, you had such a good segue there.
Oh shoot, what did I miss?
You just said, do you remember me talking about
that comes later.
Foreshadowing. And weirdly enough, I should actually add that onto my list because I listened to that whole soundtrack for the first time.
Wait, really? Remember me?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, now I'm more interested in this. Let's start with that.
All right, remember me.
I made a segue. So, how do you like it?
I think it's awesome.
Isn't it wild?
I think, yeah. It's got that interesting, you put it pretty well, that it's already, a far above average, really rousing orchestral soundtrack, but they layer on top of that, like, glitching it out and adding, like, electronic elements into it, and, like, they manipulate an orchestra in ways that I feel I haven't heard before.
Yes. It as if the orchestra could have been playing some, I won't say by the numbers, but I will say traditional, like, beautiful orchestra arrangements, and they could have no clue that the end result was going to turn into this, like, technological, mysterious, glitchy, never before heard sort of production.
Right.
And I just think that's really cool. The beautiful thing about it is it ties so well into the world and the story that they put together.
Right.
Because there's one song called, let me see if I can remember. It was Memory.
Actually, that would be a good song title for that.
Let me see if I can remember. That was the working title for the game. But no, now I remember that it's called Memory Reconstruction.
Yeah, I noticed that really sounded like it had a specific role in the game when I heard it.
Yes, and sometimes it's gameplay-wise, sometimes it's just story-wise, but the main character is trying to piece together her memories.
Oh, it's a JRPG.
Well, you'd think that, but she's not your average amnesic patient. Well, actually, perhaps I should say it's more in the literal sense. She is an actual patient in this horrible facility, and they really go places with that idea of remembering things and purposefully forcing other people to remember things that didn't happen by manipulating their memories. And so
cool.
The soundtrack, you know, it kind of feels like there are gaps in the composition, just like there are gaps in your memories. It kind of feels like there are in your memories.
Hello, we have saved you a...
Memories.
Hello! Saved you a...
And it's just really, really
And that's
great.
something really interesting, because when you say it's like an electronic orchestral hybrid, like that's been around, you know, even like Ace Combat experiments with electronic elements with orchestral elements. But this feels like all of the electronic elements are post work done on the orchestral piece.
Yeah.
Like someone's splicing and cutting it and phasing the actual orchestral work and not just adding a synth as another instrument.
Which is exactly what you can do to the minds of other characters in this game.
Right.
So it's quite cool.
That's cool. Like, I have some problems with the soundtrack. I mean, I listened to it. I haven't played the game, so it's, you know, tough for me to, like, ground all the different music. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a lot of modern soundtracks. It seems to be a lot of more Hollywood-esque stuff, a lot of chase scenes, and not very many memorable melodies.
Yes,
but it's good.
It is very much a cinematic score. It's just way cooler than most of the other cinematic scores.
Exactly. All right. So, anything else?
Yeah. Now let's talk about the other thing, Harmony of Heroes. So that was that arrangement in honor of the Super Smash Bros. Series, arrangement album, I should say. That had 101 songs in it. And our pals, the Mercado Bros, did a rendition as well. Mm-hmm. But they said, you know what, 101 songs isn't enough. We're going to release an expansion.
To be fair, the Mercado Brothers did not say that. They didn't make 101 songs and then make an expansion.
Not at all. They just did one. But the folks behind Harmony of Heroes did. And the funny thing is this little expansion is bigger than most full arrangement albums.
Right.
I sure liked Harmony of Heroes. Do not get me wrong, the bar of quality was exceptional, but this Final Smash edition is insane. I mean,
Is it crazy?
It's
Do you
nuts.
gotta hand it to them?
Wait, is that like a...
Is it masterful?
Yes.
Get it?
No.
Oh my gosh. That's
Like you're mastering
Is it crazy? Do you have to hand it to them? Is it master?
That's hilarious now! Super Smash Bros. Humor, my friend.
Yes.
Very good. Alright, well, now I feel like anything I'm going to follow that up with will be boring and
probably
trite.
Yep.
But I'll just say that that like every single track I listened to was like a standout track. All of them were. There were a few that I only liked instead of absolutely loved. But I don't know.
Nice.
You should listen to that. There's a Live and Learn remix, which is weird.
Nice.
I think
The
you'll
best video
appreciate
game
that.
song ever composed.
It's much more electronic and beat focused. It's not just a cover. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I was talking to Andrew Lures on Twitter about the Mario Galaxy remix. That might have been my favorite on the whole album. He thought that it kind of had a weak string sample in the beginning.
Yes. He's
agree.
very sensitive to that sort of
He
thing.
is. I personally thought that it did not bother me. I know what he's talking about, but I think that the strings sound lovely and video game-ish.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy remix because it's orchestral, it's grand. You know, I think it's the Space Junk Galaxy or something that really out there song. It starts with that, but then it gets epic later on, and then it breaks down into 8-bit and then blasts back into orchestral stuff. It's amazing.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I was blown away by that. And that's pretty much all the special stuff I've been listening to. How about you?
Well, that's a good question. Why did you have 4+ at the end of your list?
Oh, that's, my, smart playlist in iTunes that automatically groups all of my 4-star songs and higher.
Ah, okay. I just have a 4 to 5 star playlist. Gotcha. So I listened to the soundtrack of Baldur's Gate.
I forgot something I listened to.
Okay.
I listened to Edge of the Earth, which is the expansion pack to, a different album, Switchfoot, Fading West.
And how was that?
Lovely. It's a little darker and a little more meandering, and it was, these were the songs that didn't get put into the full album and are only featured in the documentary that Switchfoot put together.
Right.
And so it's not really traditional, A to B to C songs.
Right.
It's a little more backgroundish.
Huh. Yeah, I listened to a little bit of that, and I want to go back to listen to more of it. It sounded cool.
It's short. I listened to it 3 times in a row while driving around.
Oh, is it that short? I thought it was like 12 songs or something.
I don't remember the number, but it's definitely shorter than the full album.
Gotcha. What was I going to ask you about that? Thought I was going to ask you something about Switchfoot. Oh yeah, this is randomly like in depth for Switchfoot, but I was listening to it again, and doesn't the last song from Vice Versa's just sound like a Fading West song? Like, to the point where I'd forgotten what song it was and just heard it start playing, and I just immediately thought it was a Fading West song.
You mean, wait, is it Where I Belong?
Yes.
The thing I think is neat is I always imagined like that was their transition to their next album, Fading West.
Exactly, but it's just so similar. Like how it starts out especially, I was like, I cannot put my finger on what Fading West song this is, but this has to be a Fading West song.
Yeah, just that kind of like laid back, breezy, looking to the horizon kind of feeling.
So different from the rest of that album for Vice Versa's. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I love
right.
Switchfoot.
So I listened to the Baldur's Gate soundtrack.
Why?
So I had the soundtrack, I think because I bought it on GOG. And I was just curious to see, where all that stuff started. Mm-hmm. And it started with Baldur's Gate.
Okay, what is the sound of Baldur's Gate?
The sound of every Western fantasy RPG that is in Elder Scrolls?
You mean sort of like some muddy, passable orchestrations?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, okay, so the combat music, the real, combat music is actually quite good. Especially compared to something like Elder Scrolls, in that it gets a punch across more. It gets real, rousing sense of tension across, which I appreciate. But as I continued to listen to the soundtrack, I continually lost interest to the point where I was at goblins and wargs, and I was just bored out of my mind.
I've had that experience before.
Just like another song that's going dun 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 bum 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 bum, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna turn this off. I just feel like there's so little experimental creativity in that sort of stuff. It's just all the same, and maybe this got a pass because this like started it, but to me, it is the Dungeons and Dragons of music. Dungeons and Dragons to me is an incredibly boring, incredibly sterile fantasy world that I've never found anything interesting in my limited experience. It's just by the numbers fantasy. It is a dwarf. It is a goblin. It is a gnome, and there's not really anything to it. It's just very down to earth Western fantasy. And this is the same to me. This type of music.
You know, Kevin Van Ord loves
Icewind Dale.
Icewind Dale.
I haven't
soundtrack.
heard those yet.
And
That's
I listened.
Jeremy Soule.
I listened to one Icewind Dale song once and was just floored. I was like, oh, I understand why you love this so much. And I own the soundtrack, and I've gone back to it, and I can't find that song again, and everything else is not doing it for me.
Yeah, I started into a little Icewind Dale, and it seemed like Baldur's Gate, but a little more Jeremy Soule-ish. So it seemed boring. But
yeah, so I would like to ask him what his favorite songs are and start with that, so I don't, because, you know, I could say, oh, the Morrowind soundtrack is my favorite soundtrack ever, and someone listens to the combat music and says, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some good stuff in Baldur's Gate. I don't mean to trash it completely. Actually, I really like the first, 10 songs. I just started to lose interest. But I guess it starts to feel so rote, partially because it started so many tropes, but just can you hear that?
Yes.
Dang it.
Distinctly.
Let me go close the door.
We like soothing atmosphere here at the train station. We try to go for a vibe of whenever possible.
All right, so what was my train of thought? Oh, yes. But it just feels like, oh, you're in a cathedral now, then a Gregorian chant will play.
Of course, yes.
You're in a big dramatic moment, so a chorus will rise and rise and rise, and dark things will happen and then kind of fall. And then, it just feels like it's so predictable, just like the stories and settings of those games.
Yeah, I won't disagree. See, that's the nice thing about Japanese RPGs.
Well, granted, that's predictable too, but at least it's fun.
Precisely. The music all sounds the same at some point. Either they're copying Final Fantasy IV or, it's just Motoi Sakuraba again. but the most generic JRPG battle themes are great.
Yeah.
They just have this poppy, catchy, fun, sensibility that, boy, Western games don't have.
Exactly. Other stuff I'm listening to. I've been listening to Sonic Adventure.
Speaking of poppy, catchy fun.
That music is amazing.
It's the best.
Yeah. I continue.
Just today, I was listening to the, let me see if I can remember what it's called. Give me 1 second. Entertain them while I remember this.
All right. Hey everyone, did you know that Train Station at 8 is starting a TV show?
Okay, I think I remembered. Stop spreading falsities. Right. It's Crank Up the Heat! Exclamation point.
Which one? Oh, yeah, that song's amazing. I just listened to that one specifically.
And if all you loyal Sonic the Hedgehog fans out there, bought the newly released full double album version of the Sonic Adventure soundtrack, you will know that it includes the extended edition of that song with a proper ending instead of just a game loop.
Oh, it's so good.
It's one of the best, raddest guitar solos in history.
So, something about that is, I think one of the reasons that people don't fully appreciate the Sonic Adventure soundtracks is because they're in the Sonic Adventure games. And I don't mean that just to trash the games, but the games have a problem with volume levels.
Yes.
And so even when the music is in there, it's very scattered and you're being distracted by what's going on, and either the sound effects are way too loud or the music is way too loud, and it is not gracefully implemented.
So,
but the difficulty is that it's more like the music is blaring and the characters are like, it's like you can barely hear them, so you're straining to hear the people, so you're not really focusing on the music.
That's a good point.
Kind of annoying. But then in the level, you're like in an underwater level, and there are these giant bubble sounds like drowning the music out. So again, the games are weird, and I think that people don't, because we played them a billion times, it's a bit like a million hours in the sound test, we understood how good the music was in those games, independent of the games themselves. But sometimes when I go back to the games and I'm like, oh great, now I get to hear this cool music I love, I kind of want to stop playing them and just listen to the music because it's so distracting.
I mean, there are like some moments where it really works, like let's say, like just City Escape. That's a classic because you can't, except maybe like when you're running into cars over and over again. But for the most part, that music sticks out and is a nice, awesome compliment to the level.
Right. So. But in other cases, it's just like, oh, they made this awesome song, but the sequence is like 15 seconds, so you don't even get to hear all of it.
Yes.
It's just a really, really weird game. Or they are weird games. But yeah, Metal Harbor from Sonic Adventure 2, also amazing song. So yeah, I've been enjoying those as I always do.
Speaking of radical, best guitar, solos in history though, I'm seeing Gianna Sisters here on your list.
Yes, that, I listened to the whole soundtrack of that again because I just love it. Well, the whole metal version of the soundtrack, because honestly I don't love
speaking of, that soundtrack, Chris Hulsbeck, the original composer of it, was recently interviewed on Mercado Bros, Super Mercado Bros podcast, and they recently had their 150th episode, so...
Oh, wow. Good for them.
Applause.
Yeah. They've been around longer than us.
Yep.
Go look at them go. Yeah, I have not heard the interview yet. I listened to like the first few songs of that episode. It was cool hearing like the original title screen song.
Yeah, I know.
I was just thinking the whole time, man, this melody needs to be played at the guitar.
I know, it sounds weird.
Did they ever play any Twisted Dream songs?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, cool. Which one did they go with?
I mean, it's in game 1 through 5. I don't know which one they did.
Okay. It's one of the 5.
I think it was the one that kind of goes dun 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 dun.
Yeah, that's the one that was the original title screen of this. So, okay, they played the old version.
I think, I don't quite remember.
Okay. Anyway, I want to check it out. Oh, wait, did they do the metal version?
Yes.
Good. Yes. Good. Because I do think that those are a vast improvement over the normal soundtrack of that game.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, listen to that. I also listened to Shell Shocked,
the OC Remix Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles remix album.
Yes.
How do you like it?
It's good. I got about halfway through it, I think. It's very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles metal. Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah, if you like hyped up guitars and those old Ninja Turtles themes, then you're good to go. That's all it is. But it does it really, really well.
Yeah, I quite like it. I don't think any of it is as good as that one. I think it was the Zircon Sixto collaboration they did a while back.
Oh, really? You're saying the music isn't as good as a collaboration between Zircon and Sixto Sound?
Well, Sixto did do some work on this one. I just don't think any of it is as good as that one they did for the surfing level.
Probably not, but there's a lot of good music in that.
Yes, there is. And that should do it for me. Yep.
That's a lot of music.
That is a lot of music.
I guess that's what happens when we don't record for a couple of weeks.
Speaking of music, we have a song to discuss today, and that song is the title from Animal Crossing. Stephen, what is your background with this game?
Well, I'm sure that it's something we've talked about here and there on this show named after Animal Crossing. We've actually done an Animal Crossing song in the past. It was 8 p.m. from Wild World, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
But now it's time to return to our roots, the best Animal Crossing game, and the one that we've already established everyone has warm childhood memories with.
Right. Animal Forest for the Nintendo 64.
Pretty much. We were pretty skeptical of Animal Crossing when we saw it
I probably told this story before, but okay, so when I very, very first saw images of Animal Crossing, I was like 8 or something. And I thought it was like a South Park style show.
Yeah, it looked too cute.
It looked fake cutesy.
Yeah.
Like these animals were about to start swearing at me.
So perhaps that says something about your deep suspicions as an 8-year-old about
potentially
the cruel world around you.
But then we started saying, oh wait, is this just like a kid's educational game? Like, is this so cutesy that there's just like not any interestingness to it when we started looking at screenshots and stuff?
So we were in this limbo between like reading FAQs and game facts and saying, this sounds insane. I've never played anything like this. And then looking at screenshots and going, oh, but is it like for kindergartners or
right.
What do we do? So then we rented it from Blockbuster, as you do, and played it for 10 years.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep.
And then we moved on to the next Animal Crossing.
Exactly. It's good.
Honestly, one of my favorite games I've ever played. If you really kind of pin me down and say, what's your favorite game? I might just say Animal Crossing. I'm not sure. But it's just a delightful mixture of pointless wandering and creativity and quirky humor. I just love it so much. And the music, like the rest of the game, is so atypical, right? It's like, it's not what you should expect. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's, I think that the original is still the one that stays, like, closest to my heart. Like, especially with the soundtrack. I did play a little bit of Wild World, and then played even less of New Leaf. So it's like, it's been a slope down of playing the game since that original. But man, did we play that original a lot.
And of course for me, it was a slope down for Wild World and then up again for New Leaf. But I agree.
Wait a minute. I thought you played Wild World a ridiculous amount.
Well, yeah, but not as much as the original.
Not as much as did you play New Leaf more than the original?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, more than the original?
No. More than Wild World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the original is way up there on the peak, and then it slopes down and then back up. We just skipped the Wii game because it kind of seemed like it.
Yeah.
It's just...
It didn't even have a new soundtrack, I don't think.
Not really. It was kind of lame, I think.
Yep.
But that's okay because the original Animal Crossing was the opposite of lame. Your 8-year-old fears can be,
put to rest?
Put to rest.
Good. That's good.
Yes,
so,
indeed.
The song's rolling in the game is pretty obvious. It plays at the title screen.
Yep.
Like, the melody is used in other places, though. It's the main theme of the game, so you'll hear hints of it throughout. The composer, whose name is completely slipping my mind right now. Stephen, do you remember?
Well, are you 100% who composed the title screen? Because it was Totaka, or Kazumi Totaka, who was the lead on sound design, or music design at least. I know Kenta Nagata did like the day-to-day music. And then someone else, I don't quite remember who else did the KK music and indoor music. But for the person who did the title screen, I guess I'm going to assume that it was Kazumi Totaka, but I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it does sound like him. His style, it definitely is similar to the rest of the music in the game, and just that, complete simplicity, but I could see it being something different because since it isn't one of the standard songs, it has a unique sound to it. So,
yeah.
Not like 100%
honestly,
it's him.
The weird thing about this particular track, and you know what, it might have been, I'm looking this up a little bit now, it might have been someone, possibly Shinobu Tanaka, because he did like event music. So maybe this is an event. But it's very different from a lot of the music in the game, because when you're walking around the town and the music is changing every hour, it tends to be a lot more focused on a bit of kind of zany quirkiness, or something a little more upbeat. Or it can be really, weird and mysterious when it gets late at night, or really chill in the evening hours. But this is like largely piano focused, which isn't used that much in the rest of the game.
No, it isn't. It's an interesting song because it is just two instruments. It's a drum and piano. And I don't think that combination is used throughout the rest of the game.
And you'd think it would be. You could boot up this title screen and think, oh, now I know what I'm in for. But no, this never really comes back. The theme certainly does, woven throughout all sorts of songs, but this particular style, kind of was stuck at the beginning, and I had a bit of a Wind Waker reaction to it, actually, in the old days. And
you didn't like it?
The other day when I was like giving you a hard time and telling you that it was a bad song, I was lying, but it was coming from kind of my original thoughts, which was, I used to think this song sounded a little too upbeat and, what's the word I'm looking for? Kinda cutesy, maybe. While the rest of the music seemed to be more on the unexpected side. However, I've kind of come back in a full circle, and I really like the laid back. Actually, it really fits our podcast's theme. I think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But have we actually played the song yet? I forgot.
No.
Okay, maybe we should play the song.
I was about to make you do that. Yes.
Okay. I'll stop talking about it, and now you guys can listen to it and see if you understand what I was saying.
All right, welcome back. That was Tidal from Animal Crossing, and we don't really know who composed it, but we have our theories.
Maybe I'll find it out. Look, it was probably Kasuma Totaka, but it also could have been Kenta Nagata, Toru Minagishi,
Koji Kondo,
Shinobu Tanaka, or John Williams.
Iman Zur.
It technically could have been anyone, but
Yep.
it could have been you.
You're the composer all along. All right.
That's an interesting point, because in Animal Crossing, you do get to be a composer and create town tunes. So
exactly, that was my point.
Yeah.
So something interesting about this song, it kind of to me reminds me of a Peanuts song.
Yes, that's a really good illusion right there.
Because like it is cutesy, but it has like this certain jazzy sophistication to it.
Yes, it has like, you're right, childlike sophistication. It's kid friendly, it's happy, it kind of resolves with this, everything's gonna be all right. But it's also kind of cool. You want to snap your fingers to it.
Right, exactly. It's probably my favorite theme of all the Animal Crossing games because of that.
Yeah, you're probably right. I just love the Wild World theme.
Yeah.
But this
I like that one too. I just don't think it's just Animal Crossing.
Exactly. This fits Animal Crossing more. And you know what I love about the song and what I'm sure you'll agree with?
No, I don't agree.
One word that sounds like it could be two words. Percussion.
Yeah. It's so simple.
It is so simple, but it, like, at some point, most of the other instruments fade out, and it's just that.
Well, not even most. Isn't there just one other instrument?
I guess you're right.
It's just a piano and a drum set.
You're right. You're exactly right. It just, sometimes it sounds like there's more because
the dual piano.
Because, you have two parts of the piano, but it's just like this really lovely combination of like your two standard instruments in so many ways, just percussion and piano. And all it's doing is creating a melody that you will remember. And boy, do you remember it. When I unlocked, I think it was called Animal Forest or something, or KK Forest or something like that, as, an air check in Wild World.
Right.
I played that in my Wild World house for months, just because it reminded me of how much I loved the original's theme song. It's so inviting. It's just like, you just kind of want to stay here and chill out forever.
And it's a simple melody, but it's played so snappily. Like, it's not just played straight. How it kind of jumps around and then goes into a longer, more beautiful section and then a more staccato section. Like, it stays interesting and it doesn't just feel like he's just playing a flat melody he came up in his head.
Exactly. And sometimes some of the New Leaf music sounds like that.
Yeah.
It just plays at one note at a time, which is what we thought this game was going to be, you know, like just maybe some horns or some cutesy xylophones or whatever. But no, it's got this swing to it, this rhythm, like especially when it goes in that da-da-da-dun, dun, 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 dun. It's like, it's got style.
Yeah.
And you know what it kind of reminds me of? Some of the Kirby Epic Yarn music.
Yeah, it does fall into that camp because that game was also extremely piano focused.
Yes.
And it had that jazzy, breezy is the word I use for Epic Yarn, and I think can also apply to this.
Breezy and not quite cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that shows that like a piano / a jazz piano minimalistic style apparently is very good for kids entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's simple and, like I said, welcoming, but people of all ages and walks of life can appreciate a good piano riff. That's for sure.
Right. And that's something Animal Crossing is really master of, is it uses simplicity not as a, like, because it can't do complex. It does it because it's really good at doing simplicity.
And that's what I love about the game. It has an artistry that you might not recognize at first. Like, how all of the animals have these extremely, like, limited polygonal giant heads. And it's like, oh, are they just doing that because, I don't know, it's easy to make big, cute circles and have kids, appreciate that? But kind of what they do is they have this super simple system of just making these, for the most part, big balloon heads, and then they will draw all sorts of details on them with some really rudimentary, texture tools.
Right.
And they actually let you do the same thing. If you can find, Blanca, the cat on the train, you can draw her face and you see how the developers did it in a way. It's the same with the town tune. Every time you go into a house or speak to a villager, a little ditty plays. And by default, I think it's that bum ba dum bum ba bum. And you can make your own town tune at the town tune maker. And it's like, that's the beauty.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it's like, dun 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 dun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Wait, or is it all just random?
No, the last note is random.
Oh, yeah.
And then it changes every time. So
yeah. Okay.
Just gotta correct you on that one.
You're right about that. I haven't started a new game in the original Animal Crossing in a while.
Missing out, sir, because you get KK strumming his guitar and being like, "Hey, you want to move in?" And then you're like, oh my gosh, my data was erased. Why is KK here?
Well, that's yet another example of it. KK has this simple, endearing way of singing his music. And then when you put the CDs in your jukebox or whatever, they play like a really good, almost parody of a specific genre of music. And so there are all of these things that seem on their face to be simple, kiddie, one might say. But it's done purposefully and cleverly and with a lot of character.
Yep, I agree. And since we're running a bit low on time here, I think that about wraps up our discussion of that song. Like we said, simple, so only a few things to say about it, but I highly recommend. If you haven't heard the rest of the Animal Crossing soundtrack, check it out, because you're in for an amazing treat, and you will get an idea of what inspires us most musically for this podcast.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, that's why we chose this song for this episode, because it's our anniversary. We have some announcements to make. It's just us two. So why not go back to the very beginning of the game that really inspired the entire theme of this podcast?
Exactly. Battletoads. So without further ado, here's the Battletoads theme.
Wow, so many memories. So many memories. I've never played that game, and yet I feel connected to the Battletoads, such as Rick, Morty, and Vomit. I don't remember their names.
You forgot about Dwayne.
Okay, good point.
All right. Stephen.
Yeah?
Before we close out here, you wanted to talk about other podcasts. I don't approve of this because competition man, but I guess I'll let you.
Okay. If I was a villain, I'd be competition man. Okay, that is true. Because we've entered a whole new year of doing Train Station at 8, I decided it would be more polite to talk about other people than ourselves. So, I just posted today, a first anniversary podcast recommendation, blog post. And, I kind of rounded up a bunch of video game music podcasts that I personally enjoy listening to. I know I've had a hard time tracking down good music podcasts.
Right.
Not just because there are bad ones out there, but because there aren't very many. And sometimes they aren't, readily available or advertised well. Ours certainly isn't.
Oh, no. We were hiding from people actively.
Exactly. Anti-marketing. So
we
anyway.
named it Train Station at 8. Like, what the heck?
We do like the old sabotaging ourselves thing.
Yep. We're a fan.
But anyway.
Like I said, I hate podcasts.
So, the first one I had on my list
yes.
is VG Empire.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Final Fight Fashion Show.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of that. That's actually very accurate.
Indeed.
To the whole show. VG Empire episode 86.
Really good at this.
Your host, Brett Elston, video game music podcast, pretty much every 2 weeks on the Laser Time Network. With other shows. Who's with me to talk about games they've never heard of?
Yes, I have listened to this one.
And you have listened to this
We've
one
also
before.
had Brett Elston on the show.
We have. We talked about Mario Kart together.
Yes, we did.
And one of the funniest things about that is he started launching into this huge description about how he felt about Mario Kart music. And we're like, wow, man, that's amazing and unsolicited. That'll be great for the podcast. And there was a pause, and he said, the podcast hadn't started yet. so
I forgot
a
about
bit of a
that.
rough start with that one.
That was pretty hilarious.
I feel really bad for letting him go on and tricking him into thinking we had started the episode.
Yep.
Anyway, Brett Elston, is one of the most well-known video game music podcasters out there, I would say. It's the first music podcast I had listened to. It's kind of he's part of the Laser Time Network, which is kind of like Wales or Wales, but more pop culture-y for the most part. Mm-hmm. And the thing I like about Brett is that he just goes into, all sorts of details on his first experience with these games and these soundtracks. And it's just really endearing to hear, the stories he will bring up from the old days and how dorky everyone thought he was for loving video game music and ripping the music from the CDs and all of that. And it's even more relaxed than our podcast, I would say, which is definitely saying something.
Is he actively asleep during the show?
Sometimes his guests are, I think.
Oh, nice.
So VG Empires and all of these links and more, detailed descriptions are on the Train Station at 8 site. So
yes, is that up now?
Yeah, it's up now.
Is it up now?
Now, as of recording, I still need to put some links in.
Okay.
But it will be up by the time this episode is. So, cool. Yeah, the next one up on the list, though, is Super Mercado Bros. And Bryan, I believe you have listened to this one before. I believe you've been on this one before.
Oh, right, yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Super Mercado Brothers Video Game Music Podcast.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thanks so much for joining us. This is the podcast where we share and discuss the very best in video game music. My name is Carl Brueggemann.
And I'm his brother, Will Brueggemann, and we're really excited today because it's time for our second installment of Favorites with Friends. If you guys don't remember, this is the series we do on our show where we bring in one or two or some really cool people that we're big fans of and bring them onto the show to talk about their favorite video game music. And today we're so lucky to be joined by Stephan Nilin and Bryan Kelly from whalesareWhales.com. Thanks for joining us, you guys.
Yeah,
Oh my
absolutely. I mean, given that intro, I'm wondering why you had us on.
And we've talked about Will and Carl Brugman.
Like I said, sabotaging podcasts. That's what I do.
We did bring Sonic the Hedgehog hip hop.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, luckily there's very sparse vocals. This is
I don't know how much.
Wow, did you lose your train of thought?
Well, I was about to launch into an explanation on who the Mercado Bros are, but I feel like a lot of our listeners already know.
Not if we have a bunch of new ones.
Oh, you're right. Why do we have new ones?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, if you don't know who the Super Mercado Bros are, they're a brotherly duo just like Bryan and I, and they do a video game music podcast just like Bryan and I, except that they're more about the structured class and less about the chilled out ramblings. So you'll learn a lot by listening to their podcast. They often talk about older music than we do. We're very modern as podcasts go, I would say, video game music podcasts, that is.
Yes.
We don't talk about a whole lot of retro stuff, but they do. They also talk about Koji Kondo very well. So if you're a fan of him, which you should be, they're the experts. I love the Mercado Bros. They have a great show. So that's that.
It is my favorite, probably one of my favorite podcasts I listen to.
Ooh,
top
me
3.
too.
So,
Yes. I definitely never skip that.
They run an excellent production over there.
I agree. But also an excellent production that is coming back very, very soon. According to Stephen Meyerink on Twitter, is Rhythm Encounter.
Welcome everyone to episode 20 of Rhythm Encounter, the RPG fan music podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Meyerink, Taylor's on the boards, and joining me today is my co-host.
That'd be me this time, Caitlin Orangeros. Link is there on the boards.
Yes, and also joining us, our co-host.
Still co-host. I'm Mike Salvato, Mike on the boards.
And we have a special episode today, special in that it is about my favorite season. We're calling it Winter Warmer. I'm clever. It's my favorite kind of beer. It's my favorite season, and it fits with Summer Chill. Everybody has to know what a good title this is.
Oh, yeah. We have had him on the show.
We have indeed. But we're scared to invite ourselves onto their show because
we don't know about JRPGs. In fact, I am on record for insulting JRPGs a lot.
But that's why I like listening to the show, because I don't want to play these games. I just want to hear their amazing music.
Pretty much.
And we also had Derek Keemsbergen on as well. But he's not on the show anymore. He had other responsibilities in life, so instead, I don't know Caitlin and Mike, but they are also co-hosts, I believe, these days.
Oh, okay.
So they're all part of the RPG Fan website. This is like their official music podcast, and it's just really fun to listen to because everyone there knows so much and cares so much about JRPGs in general, and all of the many arrangements that come out of that scene. So, man, that's why I regret not liking JRPGs more, because there are so many special CDs and albums and remixes that come out of, like, Square and whatnot, that I just can't fully appreciate. So,
yep. It's like, this is the Celtic Christmas version of Final Fantasy VII Part 2.
Exactly. Well, switching from JRPGs to MMORPGs, Battle Bards.
Sit back, fair traveler, and let the soothing strains of our lute wash away the stress of the road. The sword may conquer the raging beast, but our tunes will tame it. It's Battle Bards, a musical journey through MMO soundscapes.
One of the lesser-known podcasts that I listen to. Have you ever listened to a Battle Bards episode?
I have not.
Well, it is hosted by 3 people named Steph, Sip, and Sill.
Okay.
And
interesting. Is that like real name?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I'm guessing not.
Because it's hard to differentiate.
Yeah, I mean, it would be weird if they all were named like one syllable
Weird
names beginning with S.
Given they play MMOs, I'm guessing it's like a screen name.
Probably so. But that's a fun podcast because they all bring music to the show and then dismiss each other's songs. It happens a lot. I don't know if it's intentional, but Battle Bards is well named because they often fight in polite ways. I certainly enjoy that. I love MMO music. But I like JRPGs. I oftentimes don't have time to play all of these MMOs.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Like, RuneScape, I will never play, but you might be surprised at how neat the music is.
I am surprised at how neat the music is.
RuneScape is an interesting case because,
it has like 77 different like reboots and versions of it.
Exactly. So. And it has perhaps the largest, selection of, tracks in any game in the world.
Wait, seriously? Like more than Ragnarok?
I think so.
Whoa!
And the old stuff was very RuneScape. MIDI. But the newer stuff is really impressive. So it's almost like it's gone from the Nintendo 64 to the modern day in one game. So
weird.
Anyway, that's just one of the...
other MMO has pretty good music?
What?
World of Warcraft.
They talk about that sometimes.
Is it better than RuneScape?
As a game, definitely. As music, absolutely.
Okay.
But I'm no expert, man. But you know who are experts? The Battle Bards.
All right.
So go check them out. I don't know how many listeners they have, but they seem to be doing pretty well for themselves, and they're keeping up. So
good.
Yeah, great.
Is that like weekly episodes?
I think it's supposed to be weekly, but I think sometimes they take breaks.
Gotcha.
I think so.
Is that everyone?
Nope. I've got two more that I want to run through real fast. Top score with Emily Reese.
They've managed to create a soundtrack for the unpredictable, basically.
That sounds like that can be my new official title.
Jason Graves, creating a soundtrack for the unpredictable. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but only if your voice can say that when I pull out the business card.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest, I haven't listened to this one very much.
I've listened to one episode. It was an interview with Darren Korb.
Yes, she oftentimes does interviews. In fact, I think almost all the episodes are interviews. The Mercado Bros love this podcast. They have been on that podcast, I think.
I believe so.
And they list Emily's show as one of the big inspirations to give them the idea in the first place to make their show.
Oh, is the show that old?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That explains why their show is so professional.
Exactly, because this is professional as it gets when it comes to video game podcasts. It's
like part
produced
of like
on the Minnesota
radio.
Public Radio, yes.
Yeah.
And it's each episode is brief, but extremely well edited and professionally produced. And I just today listened to the interview with Jason Graves about Evolve. And I love that. It was great. I won't say I'm surprised, but I guess I was delighted to find out what a personable, cool guy that, Jason is. We should have him on the show.
Yep.
And
for
so
a Halloween episode. Because he doesn't get enough of that.
Oh, once I once tweeted that Jason Graves didn't have to, change his Twitter handle for Halloween. I think he retweeted that. So that's all the interaction I've ever had with him. But Emily does an amazing job. So
cool.
We should have her on the show as well. And the last one I want to bring up is the most recently discovered video game music podcast for me, which is Pixelated Audio.
Welcome back to another episode of Pixelated Audio, a bi-weekly video game music and retro gaming podcast. We're your hosts, James and Bryan, and today we're going to be talking about Utopia, the creation of a nation.
More importantly, we're going to be playing some really awesome music from the game. The track that brought us in was from Utopia on the Atari ST, composed by Barry Leach.
This is hosted by a couple of guys who spend a lot of time talking about the actual games that the sentence isn't working out. They talk about the games, not just the music. So, for example, I listened to a Castlevania episode recently, and they'd been playing through Castlevania Bloodlines and talking about the ins and outs of the gameplay and which characters and items they'd like to use in between their thoughts on the tracks themselves.
Gotcha.
And most of it is retro stuff. And so
the name does suggest that.
Yes. I've listened to maybe 3, 4, 5-ish episodes, and I've definitely been enjoying it so far. I'm just happy to find another good music podcast to listen to, especially because apparently they're fairly new to podcasting in general. So this is kind of an experiment for them. I think one of them is a programmer and one of them is an artist, which shows...
For some reason, I thought you said one of them is a priest. And I'm like, that's so rad.
One of them is a priest. He had a lot to say about the Castlevania series. But it really shows because their website is amazing and they have unique artwork for every episode. That's just insane. So
nice. Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, so those are all the video game music podcasts that I listen to. Find out more detail on the Train Station website.
That's some awesome detail and research there, Stephen. I feel bad for not doing more of that myself.
You should. Well, there's a reason I'm the PR in this podcast.
That's true. But if you want to play a game of Hearthstone, hit me up at... All right.
So if you listen to any of those podcasts, let me know what you think about them. If you don't, if you know of any podcasts that I don't know of, tell me. And if you run any of these podcasts, get in touch because I want to have you on the show.
Yeah, that's all true. Speaking of podcasts that talk video game music sometimes, we're doing something tonight?
No. Well, yes, tonight when this episode goes up.
Yes. Come on, Stephen. I'm being professional here.
Sorry.
Stop ruining the moment.
Yes. Pixel Pizza. We're taking a cooking class. Jokes. No, I'm just kidding. A mutual friend.
Pixel Pizza is a podcast about food and old video games, so it's basically just burger time is all they talk about.
Ooh, that would be good fun.
All right, no, really, go ahead.
But yes, a friend of Joe and Christina, who have been on the podcast a few times in the past, contacted us and said, "Hey, I run a show on my college radio station about video game music, and I like having guests on, and you should be a guest." And we said, "Okay, what's it called?" And he said, "It's called Pixel Pizza." And then we said, "Okay, what's your name?"
This
and he
is such
said,
a dumb story.
And he said, "My name is Jared."
Wait, we don't need all this background.
Okay.
I don't think it's important.
All right. Well, Jared invited us onto his radio show.
Perfect.
And we were very excited to do so. It's going to be premiering tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I believe.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a kind of a hybrid interview discussion, of course, about video game music. And we are delighted to be there. I don't really know what to expect. I've only heard a little bit of one of his past episodes, but I'm certainly looking forward to it because we've never been live before. So
yeah, I'm excited. It means that we can't edit out all of our wonderful flubs.
So when I start rambling about
the exact details
of our email, yes,
yeah,
there's just nothing he can do about it.
Well, who are we kidding? We leave that stuff in anyway.
Yeah, good point.
We are very light on the editing in our shows. So
yes, thank you to Jared for inviting us on. I'm looking forward to meeting with him on the internet.
Yep, absolutely. With that, I think that covers everything.
Yep. And this weekend, I'll be getting in Majora's Mask for the 3DS. Yep. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had a new Majora's Mask episode pop up soon.
Probably not. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. We'll probably be doing it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Shutting down your idea. And yeah, so I guess by a short episode, I meant like 5 minutes shorter than usual.
Well, you didn't expect me to ramble for like 20 minutes about podcasts at the end.
Well, it was informative rambling, so what the heck.
I'll say.
All right, so if you want to find us on the tweeters, we are TrainStation at 8. If you want to email us, we are trainstation8@gmail.com. You can find our YouTube channel, which we are going to start updating again, Stephen, at TrainStation8 is the name of it. So go check that out, and you can see all our episodes in video form. You might be listening there now, so hi.
Hi!
Hi. We are also part of the Wales Are Wales Productions Network, which is a network of a bunch of different podcasts and other kind of shows and internet media. So check whalesorwhales.com out for other awesome shows like this with other awesome people like us. Whales or Whales is also on Twitter, Facebook, Imgur. Okay, maybe not Imgur, but still, we're out there. And let's see here. Finally, if you want to find me personally on Twitter, I am Lord Meldor. That is Lord Meldorr. And it's a weird name because it came from a World of Warcraft character I used to have. Stephen is the much more reasonably named Stephen Kelly 180 on Twitter. And that should do it for all the outro stuff. Anything else, Stephen? That's a great point. All right, everyone. You all have an awesome week. And wait, are we doing the Monkey Porter thing?
I think we were going to stop doing it, but then we didn't think of something to replace it with.
Dang it. Well, say goodbye to the Monkey Porter. It's an Animal Crossing reference. Fits this episode anyway. And we'll find another outro another week.
You were doing so well.
I'm cool with that.